Well, 2025 is right around the corner, and with it, brand new marketing plans, brand new business plans. And if you're anything like me, you are thick in planning mode right now. So, to help you out, we've put together this episode where we take a look back at 2024, all the trends and things that we've seen go down, and what we expect to happen in 2025. We'll have advice to help your marketing plan, content strategy, how to utilize AI tools in a way that's actually really helpful and impactful for your business. We'll talk about different channels that we believe you should be prioritizing, and search factors pretty big in our conversations as well. Let's do this.
Welcome to Content Marketing Engineered, your source for building trust and generating demand with technical content. Here is your host, Wendy Covey.
Hi, and welcome to Content Marketing Engineered. On each episode, I'll break down an industry trend, challenge, or best practice in reaching technical audiences. You'll meet colleagues, friends, and clients of mine who will stop by to share their stories. And I hope that you leave each episode feeling inspired and ready to take action. Before we jump in, I'd like to give a brief shout out to my agency, True Marketing. True is a full-service agency located in beautiful Austin, Texas, serving highly technical companies. For more information, visit truemarketing.com. And now, on with our podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Content Marketing Engineered. I'm joined today by Lee Chapman, True Marketing President. Welcome back to the show, Lee.
Hi, Wendy. It's good to be back on.
I know, it wasn't that long ago you were on. I think you had just come back from Content Marketing World, and here we are again. This has kind of become our annual tradition, Lee, that we have you on and discuss marketing trends and help everyone out there that's in the midst of planning for 2025, and just give them our deep thoughts on trends and what to expect, and take out that crystal ball and all that good stuff, right?
Absolutely. And we're really in the thick of it ourselves, as you know, with our own business planning, our marketing planning. We're just coming off all these great conferences that the team's been attending, and we're like parsing out everything that we're learning, and wanted to kind of come out a little bit earlier than we did last year. I think we did this last year in like mid to late December. We're like, let's do this earlier in November so people can really take advantage of this as they're building out their plans as well.
Perfect. Well, I think a good place to start is just to do some reflection. And I listened to last year's podcast that we recorded in preparation for this. But of course, we have other reflections too of just all the things that have happened in 2024. So lay it on me. What are a few of them that stood out to you?
I know, it's like, take a deep breath. So 2 years ago, and it's crazy that it was 2 years ago. It feels like 10 years ago. ChatGPT was announced. And, our inbound playbooks really started to shift. Everybody was like, okay, what is this? How can we use this for content generation? Then it was last year, and we were really talking about, okay, as the playbook was evolving and we're experimenting with new things, we had this whole message of, if you just listen to the podcast, you've probably heard it too. We were like, be everywhere with your marketing, like pilot all these things, figure out where you're going to pick up lost traffic. We know organic traffic is waning. Is it ads? Is it content? Is it PR? Is it, what is it? So last year was all about, be everywhere. So a lot of people were putting that in place this year. We were doing that ourselves at True. We were helping our customers do that as well. I think we had some good lessons learned, and I know we're going to dive back into it, but number one trend is strategy. Always have a strategy. I know it's just an oldie, but a goodie. And if we've learned anything from all of these tools, it's that there's some things that you can't shortcut, and nothing can take the place of having a really well-formed strategy before you go trying out experimentation or using any of these tools. And then this year, we're seeing, what was it, like 2 weeks ago, Search GPT just came out. We're seeing some expansion there that's further shifting how inbound is working, new traffic coming in from GPT search. So there's a lot. And I think, again, as I'm saying, deep breath, I'm really feeling like hearing at these conferences and from some people on our team, from clients that we're working with, marketers are feeling a little bit stressed right now with all of this change over the last 2 years, all of these new tools coming out. you've got to keep your your current projects rolling, but you've also got to keep an eye on AI tools and how you can use them more efficiently. And so I think we're all kind of feeling, okay, how do we use these in the best way? So I'll stop there and set us on our course.
Okay. Well, I think back to this arc of not adoption, but the use cases for generative AI and how everybody went running to writing and then discovering how lame that was. And so we've had countless, I think, podcast episodes where everybody's talked about that. So not to belabor it, but now we're seeing this trend towards all of the other use cases that actually are beneficial and that help inform strategy. So I love that you were like, you have to have a strategy, but also that it can be an AI assisted strategy. And I'm sure you're going to get into that in a minute. So that's exciting to me to see this, people moving away from this, oh, let's just crank out a bunch of content. Not to say it isn't happening, because of course it is for people who don't understand any better. But I like that we've come full circle there. There were some other things on last year's episode that we were talking about that I think are still going to hold up as things we advise for this year. So I'm going to hold on that and see, hear your list and then, see if it matches with mine. But let's, I guess, as we think about where we're headed for 2025, one of the first things I'd like to dive a little deeper into is the idea that the inbound playbook is dying or dead or shifting. So talk to me about that, Lee.
Yeah, I know. It just feels like a moment of silence. I mean, for 10 years, right? Organic search and building this model of consistent cadence of content. I mean, we know this so well, honing your SEO keywords, getting found in this really efficient way. It's just kind of evolved. And so I do feel like we're nearing kind of that end of the inbound marketing lifecycle. We're starting to even see ourselves leads coming in from ChatGPT. We had a client who recently saw like 2x increase in referral visits from ChatGPT. So the nice thing about that is that in these paid versions of ChatGPT, Perplexity, Bing, there's no ads, right? There's no weird algorithm that's surfacing up certain people above others if you played the game a certain way. It comes down to you've got a strong website, you've honed your brand positioning and messaging, and now you're getting surfaced up in GPT. So that part seems really exciting. And that's kind of leading to, last year our theme was be everywhere. And this year we're really feeling like this motto is like, be focused. Be focused with your strategy, be focused with your messaging, have a really clean CRM. And so I like that we're kind of reining in over the last 2 years where it's felt a little bit chaotic and disruptive. Let's, again, take a deep breath and focus in.
So I'd like to ask you a couple more questions on if people are more and more using AI tools for search, and of course with Search GPT, we're definitely seeing a lot of shift there. What about those companies that are overly reliant on Google AdWords? What advice do you have for them? I mean, obviously huge ramifications here, right? And not overnight, because there's still plenty of traffic going on to Google. They still have a big market share for now. But
absolutely,
as we looked at 2025, surely that's going to change.
Yeah. And I think really good guidance there again is focus in on your Google AdWords instead of having this really broad net, really looking at the ones that are bringing you the highest quality leads, maybe not the highest quantity, but the highest quality. So when your sales team is getting back to you and saying, wow, we're really getting traction from some of these ads, which ads are those? Maybe double down on those ads. If none of them are working for you, maybe it's focus in on some new words, some new content. I feel like a lot of us are really good at brand awareness, and more middle and bottom of the funnel areas are where we're not seeing conversions. And so thinking about deeper in your funnel, what are those pieces of content or those pages of your website that are converting to high quality leads, and maximize your Google ads around those.
Yeah, and those top of funnel topics are going to be answered through generative tools, right? The what is the tutorial type of things that aren't super in depth. And so I think we're going to see, we already have seen in 2024 like this drop of traffic from those higher funnel pages. So I think it helps support that advice. Let's talk about what that means for your brand, Lee. How should people evaluate how they're branding themselves and what strategy they're using to develop a content plan?
Right. And so I think to your point about the genericized kind of content coming from AI, the reason why AI spits out generic content is because there's so much generic content that's already out there, even before AI tools existed. So really, it's this bringing top of mind. Your domain or expertise is really your secret sauce. The more specific and niche you can be, the better. And that ties back into these Google ads, right? If there's all this generic search, go 3 levels deeper. There, again, maybe less volume, but the quantity of leads that you're getting from that is going to be better. And really having that honed in brand positioning and messaging that's focused so that you're avoiding, they're calling blanding, right? Bland branding. You don't want to sound like everybody else. You want to stick out in this kind of this sea of sameness. And I think that Chris Penn in his email this week was pointing out several different brands where they have they're brands that we all know, but have very generic surface level branding. How can you deepen that? If you are in oil and gas reclamation, like what is it that you do? What are the expertise of your team that you can have shine through in this messaging that nobody else can say? I think that's more important than ever. And then if you're feeding that messaging into a GPT, that's going to be feeding you better content ideation, better content themes. That's going to help separate you.
Because it started with that differentiated position. A sector that we work with, it seems to really struggle with this, is engineering services. Those companies, they have all this talented staff and they have expertise in certain areas of engineering or certain tools that make them capable of solving problems in all these different industries and applications. And we often see this mistake where they're so afraid to niche down or at least take their marketing and focus in on a few really key applications. And without that, you just don't have the momentum and the stickiness. You just sound bland and generic like any other engineering services companies. Do you agree, Lee? I know you've had many of those clients like that over the years.
I do. And I think, specifically in B2B services, your people are your differentiator, right? Nobody has the same people you do. Can you play up their certifications, their expertise, their longevity? And can you build some of them up as thought leaders, right? So that they're promoting, we see time and time again on LinkedIn that people's own personal posts outperform those of the company. So you kind of strengthen back to like having this honed differentiated message. How can your thought leaders carry that through their own posts to help extend your reach and broaden your network?
I love that. I absolutely feel the same way. Okay. So you can use AI. You said once you have this differentiated position, then you can use AI and interact with it and you'll get a better output. Also, I mean, that research is great to even what you think is differentiated positioning may not be, right? So even through the branding process, utilizing AI for research is, I know, something we do quite often to just shortcut some of the research, right?
Absolutely.
What about people's websites? Tell me about some trends there, what you're seeing.
Yeah. So no matter how people are finding you, they're going to eventually get to your website. And so you've still got to have this really strong website. It needs to be intuitive, needs to answer questions that people have, share your solutions, provide buyer's journey content to help them through the evaluation phase. And it used to be this rush every year. You needed new content. Now we're finding more and more, you've probably got a lot of content. What is your top performing content? Oftentimes people don't know this. Go in and look at what is your top performing content in terms of sessions and conversions. Is it up to date? Is there anything new that you can add to it? Data, graphics, pull quotes. Could it be repurposed into other content like video shorts, which we see performing really well right now, or webinars, which, to the point of how do you accelerate through the middle and bottom of your funnel conversions, webinars are super great for that. I know you're working on research results, right, for our 2025 research study next year. That always seems to pop up, that webinars and short form videos are really very popular with engineers as part of their evaluation phase. I don't know if you've dug into the data enough this year to see if that's kind of trending, but
No, I
any
don't
thoughts
have
on
my
that?
hands on it yet. We just closed the survey. So soon. I can't wait to see how it's changed. Lee, I have a question for you. So it used to be volume of content was important. So the more content you have on your website, the better. And then things really shifted, didn't they?
They did. And now, because there is this proliferation of generic content out there, people are all writing on kind of the same topics, the same themes. If you go to 5 websites of related companies, you'll see some form of a similar blog post out there. And so now it's really quantity is out and high quality is in, and being able to leverage that existing content. Or, sometimes maybe you don't have content that you feel is high performing or performing the way that you want it to. Maybe time to do a content audit to really look at that content, see how it's performing. You may have content that's really old and out of date, or that no longer is tied to your messaging or your value proposition, that you maybe need to end of life and get off your site. You may see that you have some pretty big gaps. And so that's something you'll want to prioritize high in your plan. Content is still going to be extremely important, even with the loss of organic traffic, but making sure it's really high quality, really differentiated, and tied into your messaging is more important than ever.
Okay. And then kill those underperforming generic pages. Just get rid of them. They're gone.
They're just taking up space in a server farm somewhere, and they're not doing you or anyone else any good. Just get them out.
Okay. All right. So, other topics, I guess, other things to put your eye towards in 2025. How about CRMs?
Yes. So last year when we did this call, I know we were kind of fighting the Zoom info battle of, people feeling the need for leads, and we totally get that. And sometimes buying a list or getting some contacts in Zoom info was something that people were looking to do. And what we've learned with that is if you're going to do that, you need to send those out in a different email client than your current one. You're going to need to warm them up if you've never sent anything to them before, because you don't want to get blacklisted and put through a spam filter. So you got to protect yourself there. I know you, Wendy, spent a lot of time this year kind of leaning into LinkedIn Sales Navigator, right? So that's another way of maybe finding some new leads and contacts, nurturing them in LinkedIn, and then getting them to convert to your website. And then they're kind of a clean contact in your CRM from there.
Yep.
Any epiphanies that you had kind of coming out of your LinkedIn Navigator time?
Well, first off, I was surprised that so many email addresses are given within that tool. I just didn't realize that LinkedIn would surface that to you. So if you're on the enterprise level, which you have to be a certain size company, they don't make it easy to get on that, then you can actually connect your CRM with LinkedIn and do some scrubbing. Oftentimes, though, people are using their personal emails or their trash emails. So you see more of those Gmails, Hotmail, Yahoo, that it's not always a company email, right? And part of that might be people switch jobs and they just want LinkedIn to be constant. So who knows? But be aware that that's the case. But aside from that, LinkedIn Navigator's really added some cool tools for business development. So how do I create org charts, and how can I dive into how active? So, as you want to monitor your network, you can save leads, you can put them in different lists, and then you can see who's posted recently. So it can feel overwhelming if you have a big following or a lot of connections to comment on everybody's page. So it just gives you the ability to target in. So to your point earlier, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. So if you're really serious about engaging and building relationships, they give you these tools to narrow that down. So it's not just like a bunch of, crap things that show up in your feed, like, just throwing it on the walls. So, so I like those things about it. Definitely more of a sales tool than a marketer's tool, though, for sure.
Right. Well, and
Yeah,
I think your process of how you were going about it, again, so it's not just take the email that's out there and then all of a sudden pull it into your CRM and start sending them
oh,
emails,
yeah,
again, because it might not even be an accurate email address. And so back to like keeping your CRM clean, making sure you've got engaged contacts that you're marketing to,
that's right.
um, is really key to helping you optimize your email programs. Also, keep helping your lead nurturing workflows be more effective for you as well.
And Shelly, a friend of the show and a good personal friend of
Yeah,
yours,
yeah,
was on not too long ago talking about how to keep your CRM clean. She shared her views on purchasing lists and nurturing the database. So that's a good one to catch if people haven't heard that.
absolutely.
What about social media, Lee? What do you see in your crystal ball for 2025?
So this year we had two really great webinars that we did at True that the team put on. One on best practices in LinkedIn. A lot has changed in LinkedIn this year. Being able to create posts that are easy for your team to publish, but now I think we've heard that's already going away or shifting to something else new. It's hard to keep your pulse on
Yeah.
what's going on with LinkedIn. But one thing that has stood out is these slider posts. So you've seen them where they're like kind of a graphical element and you kind of slide to the right and you can share. It's almost like a little bit of a short brochure on a particular topic. Those do really, really well, as do, as always, pictures of people, even short videos. So we've been trying out this year some short video overviews on topics, and those perform really well too. And then on YouTube, I mentioned already, like, YouTube shorts, again, looking at those thought leaders on your team, your subject matter experts, where they have knowledge. It doesn't have to be this full blown, thousands of dollars, days long of video production. Really can just be, on your iPhone, on Zoom, recorded, and then timely put up on YouTube, but thinking about really prioritizing kind of interactive types of content that's easy for people to engage.
Great. And spoiler alert, but if you listen to last year's, we talked a lot about YouTube and LinkedIn. So there it is.
Yep.
Still an important channels. So Lee,
Okay.
so you had mentioned we're in the middle of business planning for True Marketing right now, and
Yep.
getting towards the end of that process and honing in. And one of the things we've been talking about is, where do we feel we're going to best serve our clients? What are they going to need more of, or where are we going to add new scope or new dimension to some of our services? So maybe I was hoping you could walk through some of those that are significant.
Yeah. So I've already talked about the importance, that marketing strategy, content strategy has never been more important than it is now. And so we always like to start strategy first. And this is the time of year where, with our clients, we're helping build out their 2025 marketing strategy and activity plan, their content focus. And what we're building out at True, is we're going through our own marketing planning and business planning process, is we're building a custom GPT that bakes in our ideal customer profiles, our brand messaging, our tone, voice, our differentiation pillars, our buyer's journey, our content themes, all of this information and pieces that we have. We're putting it into, GPT 4.0. We do have the paid version, so it's our IP's protected. It's starting to learn our brand. I'm pretty shocked and amazed at what it's able to give me. I feel like I'm building a giant story problem into it every time I'm going in and building in my prompts and loading in all of these assets.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting out is better and better, and I feel like it's so efficient. It's I wouldn't say it's like a digital Lee yet, or a Lee clone yet, but it's getting there. And we want to start building this out for clients. So we already help them build all of these pieces of their marketing strategy. Budgets are getting tighter. Time is tighter than ever before. And so I think leaning on these paid versions of AI tools, whichever ones you're using, to help you gain these efficiencies, I think that's something that our expertise is really going to show through to those areas for our clients this year.
Yeah, I think so too, because not to knock, new grads and young marketers, but you need to understand how to build a marketing strategy in order to work with these tools and have it give you the right output, right? You have to have the right
Yes.
input. And until you've built a marketing plan and understand all the nuances, especially for working with technical buyers, my goodness, it's a little tough to do that. So, I think this is great. And then once it's built, then more junior marketers can use it to do other things, right, downstream. So,
Right.
um,
Right. And then we can collaborate. It's just an extension of our partnership that we have with clients, is then we're all working from the same source of information. We've all got this deep knowledge that is getting shared across all the different marketing pieces and assets and channels. So again, I love it. My efficiency and consistency brain loves that it's helping provide that, and it's making things efficient, which is also another thing that I think everybody's looking for, is efficient, effective, and on-brand marketing. And so I think that's something that's really going to be on the forefront of what we're working on in 2025.
yeah. So speaking of brand, we also see 2025 being not the year of brand, but because every year should be a year of brand, but
It
where
should.
branding, as you mentioned earlier, is just so important, hugely important. It's
Yes,
huge. So
it's huge.
tell me more about some of the ways we're going to approach branding projects in 2025.
And there's so many flavors of brand, right? It used to just be, okay, we're going to work on like corporate branding or product branding. But there's thought leadership branding and personal branding and event branding. We've got a lot of clients, and then we ourselves, we're also working with Gorilla 76, partnering to put on the Industrial Marketing Summit next year. And so thinking about how do we make that messaging, unique and defined as well. So how do you, think about approaching that? And again, not making it seem too stressful, but really pulling out your domain expertise, looking at voice of customer research. What is it that you do that no one else can do, that solves pain points, that creates innovation? And then making that as niche and specific as you possibly can. And then, I still feel like, I think Morgan would agree, starting with that corporate messaging and knowing who you are as a company, and then looking at all of your different vertical pieces of messaging that roll up to that. You want them to stand alone, but yet you want them to also tie in
Mm-hmm.
to the larger brand picture as well. So it's not easy. If it were easy, everybody would have done it, and every year wouldn't be the year of brand. So
Yeah.
and again, I think these AI tools can help with some of that, doing some of the competitive research as you're honing in on your differentiators and building out your messaging. You can also put it through a paid version of a GPT and have it compare how specific your messaging is compared to 3 of your competitors. I think you can get some really good pointers there. But then, as always, really, again, that voice of customer research, where, for our customers, we'll call, 5 to 10 of their customers and ask them, how they selected them, where they found them, why they stay with them. Really, there's no better way to build your brand than hearing from the voice of your customer on why they find value in working with you. That way, you're getting the most unique and authentic messaging. Again, then you're taking that back to your GPT and you're baking that in, and then you're just, getting content that's that much better and high performing.
Yeah, could not agree more. And quantitative research is great for other things, but when it comes to informing brand, having that qualitative research, that conversation with those customers, hearing their word choices, and also being an independent party that comes in and talks to them, it creates a bit of a safe space where they'll be a little more direct than perhaps they would be
Yeah.
to their favorite account manager or somebody like that. So something to keep in mind. Yeah, good. Well, Lee, earlier you mentioned a lot of companies have a library of content, but it's not all performing well. So what do we do in that instance working with clients?
Yeah, so we start by really looking at the high performing content. So we'll build out a content audit. We'll line out all the content that's ever been created, what form factor it's in, when it was created, who the subject matter expert was, and then kind of the key performance metrics. And then we'll kind of create what we call a keep, kill, create section where we'll look at, okay, here's content that maybe is high performing, but it's out of date. We need to update that. Or maybe it's a really high performing white paper, but it could be turned into video shorts in a webinar. So really looking at, again, what is the content that you have that you can maximize, that can really help you drive engagement and conversions? And what are your gaps that you need to shore up and prioritize? But just not thinking blindly about, oh, this person's got some time, we'll just have them write content on this particular topic. Really being thoughtful about what you need to communicate, who you're communicating to, and then focusing on that content.
Yeah. And how does it fit in with the overarching strategy, the business goals and campaigns and all of that good stuff? It's all connected, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly it.
Well, very good. Well, I think you've set us up pretty well here for 2025. The last thing I want to make sure that we circle back to is the Industrial Marketing Summit, which you mentioned.
Yay!
That's another way to start your year off well, even though it is late February. But you can meet all of the True Crew in person, as well as our partners, Gorilla 76, and your fellow industrial marketers, and so many wonderful speakers. The program is very strong. 2 tracks, 2 days. And Lee, who's our keynote speaker?
Paul Reutzer. I know, I was going to mention him earlier. So it's the AI podcast. In addition to Chris Penn's weekly newsletter, definitely recommend you check out Paul Reutzer and the AI podcast. And can't wait. The team is just buzzing with excitement to see him on the keynote stage at IMS in February.
Yes, he's great. Well, any parting thoughts, words of wisdom? Did we cover everything?
I think we covered it all. Marketers, take a deep breath and focus in. Leverage AI. We're going to be continuing to come out with some updates and webinars in 2025 to keep you up to date. We'll have our research coming out in February as well. So lots to come in 2025.
Yep. We'll be doing a research sneak peek at the summit, and then we'll release it to the public the following week. So technically, I think the release date might be first week of March, but if you come to the summit, you can get your hands on it early. So good stuff. Well, Lee, thank you for being here, and once again, helping to set everybody up for success for the coming year. Appreciate you.
You bet. Thanks, Wendy.
Thanks for joining me today on Content Marketing Engineered. For show notes, including links to resources, visit truemarketing.com/podcast. While there, you can subscribe to our blog and our newsletter and order a copy of my book, Content Marketing Engineered. Also, I would love your reviews on this podcast. So please, when you get a chance, subscribe and leave me your review on your favorite podcast subscription platform. Thanks and have a great day.